had a proposal from Reese Solution for a managed computer support service. I think at this time we're going to hold off on going with that fully managed. Eric has agreed to continue doing the IT work for the courthouse with Matt's Reach Solutions help. We'll take another look at the reason we're not going with it right now is pretty costly. We would have to amend some budgets. But if you can give us a few months and see how this works, at budget time next year, we'll readdress it and see where we need to make corrections or additions.
Sounds great.
If that works for you.
Yep.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Eric.
Thanks, Eric.
Yep, thank you.
Who's next, Dave?
No, I got Randy Raby.
Rabby Harvey.
Nobody home?
Kleber, Schultz, and Jeannie.
Well, I'll get them in here.
So if we would hire him, then we wouldn't need an IT person.
You'd still have to have somebody in-house. He would still do it, his just responsibilities would,
Be less.
yeah. But you'd still have to have somebody here.
So then we bring him back now.
Yeah.
Which will upset him. They must not want to see us.
They're waiting on some other board members and
Good morning.
Good morning.
You Randy?
Are you
I'm
ready?
ready.
Well,
All right,
good morning,
we're
Randy.
ready.
Have a
You
seat.
ready? Okay.
How are you, sir?
Randy Rabby.
Hello, Martinez.
Okay. Randy Rabby. How are you? Got a trip up here.
Yeah, it's,
Where you come from?
I actually live in Plainville, 25 miles north of Hayes. We cover all of northwest Kansas. I guess mainly, first of all, I want to thank you guys for paying the dues forever. Partly what I'm trying to make it around to all the county commissions, kind of letting them know, some of the stuff we've done. And one of the things that we've ran into lately is Sherman County hasn't paid their dues. They're kind of upset that we've made a deal with Votech several years ago to build them houses. Well, mainly we've been buying the stuff from Razor Lumber because they gave us a pretty good deal. I mean, we could charge up to 6 months without paying the bill till we kind of got money coming in. And they've been upset that we haven't done business with the other lumber yard. And then we end up selling the 18 duplexes that we also had there. They thought we should have got more money out of it, and it's just been kind of a fiasco. What it came down to was that they wanted us to sign a memo with them that saying that anytime we did a project in their county, that we would strictly buy the materials from their county. We try to do that anyway. Most of the money that we deal with is federal or state money, therefore we've got to follow the federal guidelines and take bids and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and pass this out. I've done it to all the other counties that I've been to. It's just a memo. to be honest, I could care less whether you sign it or don't sign it. That's strictly up to you, but that's kind of what the board decided. They said, well, just give every county the option if you want to sign that's fine. And basically it just kind of says that we will mainly, if we do a project in your county, we will mainly try to buy the materials in your county.
How do you determine where you're going to do these projects?
Most of the time it's up to the local economic development. A lot of times they're the ones, them or the city that get a hold of us and say, hey, we would like to do this or whether it's streets and ambulance or whatever it might be. Most of the time it's somebody local that just contacts us and says, yeah, we would like to do this project. So the same with the business loans that we do. Most of the time that's the bank giving us a call and say, hey, we've got this business that wants to expand and we need a little help with it, and so we'll look at the different funding sources. And now the housing's the same way. The housing's, like Bird City, Century 2 Foundation, once McCarty's started the dairy there, they wanted us to build there, and they kind of put up some of the funds and stuff, and so that's how that one came about. We have looked at St. Francis here a couple of different times. One time we actually had some lots that we were going to buy, and then somebody bought them out from under us, and then we ended up not doing the project. But it's a little different. Housing right now is a little tougher, partly because it's harder to get rid of the tax credits than what it used to be. We had this big project and actually had $6.5 million worth of tax credits awarded, and we just couldn't get anybody to buy off on it. And part of that is, the change in tax laws and stuff that affect people. But I do have some sheets here that I
Let me
actually.
interrupt you for a minute.
Sure.
Now you said, according to the federal government, you have to put everything out for bids with X amount of contractors, and they don't necessarily have to be from in county. That's
Right.
correct, right?
Exactly.
So you'd be trying to tell them, they're getting their best business prices on materials wherever they can.
Right. And, we've got to follow the federal guidelines, and they generally like to have at a minimum, 3 bids on projects. And, the thing that upsets me about the Goodland deal is that we spent over $300,000 at Razor Lumber, and the commissioners are kind of upset because they're friends with the other lumber company, but we still, spent a ton of money in the county. Actually, the only 2 places that we went out of, we couldn't get anybody to do the basement, so we ended up getting Stevens Construction from Colby. But it's still in the area to do the basements, and then the countertops. We got a company out of Dighton that custom makes them, and that's actually the only 2 that we did. And we actually got like Miller Lumber to go ahead and do the flooring, the carpeting and stuff. So I guess I'm just. Somebody somewhere is kind of stirring a pot on us, and have got the commissioners kind of all upset. But the sheet that I passed out is actually it shows like some of the projects we've done in Cheyenne County. At Bird City, we did got them $200,000 for streets. Cheyenne County an ambulance there in 2016. I had to put on my glasses so I can see. Then we did the microloan program back in 2015. That money ended up getting turned back. I always got to bite my tongue because I mean, we kind of had it for 2 years and, nobody utilized it, so the state asked for the money back, but I mean, there surely had to be some businesses that could have utilized that, but nevertheless. Then like 2013, we got a water project for Bird City also, but that just kind of gives you an idea. And that's not to say for all, the business loans that we've done too. A lot of times we don't advertise that a lot just because the private businesses don't like to, us advertising that, we got money for them and stuff. But I guess I'm partly here to ask, if you guys have any questions or anything of the Planning Commission. We were still working with Sherman County trying to get them to pay their dues. The last thing they come back, they want a memorandum signed with the Northwest Kansas Housing Organization, because the housing organization is the one that's actually building the houses. But there's actually laws that says a nonprofit's got to be governed by its board. It can't be governed by another agency, and I think we're going to get in trouble if the Planning Commission gets to dictating what the housing does, other than sometimes when the housing needs money, the Planning Commission will donate money to the housing, and then supposedly sometime in the future that gets paid back. But we have built 132 houses or duplexes throughout Northwest Kansas, so I like to think maybe that helps a little bit with the housing out here. But do you guys have any questions or anything at all? The dues are based on 1/10 of a mil on the total county assessed valuation, and I think up here you guys split it with the city, right?
I think that's how it's done with Helen Dobbs.
I'm pretty sure you do. I can't remember if it's half and half or 2/3 and a third, but I'm pretty sure you split some of it with the city. But
Well, our county attorney had to be in court this morning, and we'd definitely like to have her read this and
sure.
and have her input before we made any decision about that. But I can't think of anything. I know I've heard a little bit about the Sherman County disagreement, I guess. Other than that, though, I really haven't heard a whole lot.
Okay.
You have meetings monthly in Hill
Right.
City, is that correct?
They're always the last Wednesday of the month is when they are.
And who's on your voting board? I mean, does that consist of just...
The Planning Commission board's made up of one county commissioner from each of the 18
That's
counties,
what I
plus then there's got to be like 9 what they call members from the general public.
At large.
What we generally do is Pioneer Country Development, which is a certified development company that does all the business loans. They've got 9 board members. So it's generally what we do is just take them 9 board members, and they serve on the Planning Commission also. Now the housing's a separate 501c3 nonprofit, and it's got a separate board of 9 members. The requirement on it is we've got to have 3 people that represent the low-income community. No more than 3 can be government, and then 3 at large. So it's sometimes it's kind of hard to make sure you don't have too many government people on there and enough low-income people to serve. And we actually need a couple people right at this point. And I know Helen Dobbs, it's an economic development person, that's kind of wanted on that board. To be honest, the board's been a little hesitant, partly just because I think Helen's whole motive is just to get on there and raise hell. But I mean that's kind of my opinion too. But
Well, we apparently, outside of Helen, none of the commissioners have been to any of these meetings. We really
Right.
don't know a whole lot about how
Well-
this operates.
Yeah, what I would probably recommend is November 21st, we have our annual meeting in Hill City that evening. We serve supper. I usually have about a half-hour PowerPoint presentation that I show, like a lot of the projects that we do throughout the region. You know, it's everywhere from ambulance, community buildings, and business loans, and whatever else. But it gives you kind of a pretty good overview of a lot of the projects that we're really kind of involved in.
Okay, and you're talking about Thursday, November 21st?
First, right. Mhm. Usually it's 6 o'clock in the evening.
So if I attended this, would that be, is that acceptable for a county commissioner?
Oh,
to
yeah,
come?
yes, yes. Anybody can come. We used to get close to 150 people that would come to it. The last 2 years, it's been down just a little bit. 2 years ago, we held it in December, and December's not a good time of year.
Well, I guess what I'm after is just more information. I've had a couple discussions with Helen, and I've talked to some folks in Goodland. My problem is I don't know enough about it
Yeah.
to have input. So I really wouldn't mind coming to this meeting just to
Sure.
educate myself a little better.
You should get an invitation. It's just sent to the county clerk generally.
Okay.
But that'll be coming out pretty quick. But,
Okay.
you know, any one of you or all of you are invited.
I would
To
like,
come.
if I can work it in, I would
Yeah.
like to go.
Sure.
And what time does that start?
Usually at 6 o'clock when we start with the meal.
And where do you hold the meetings at?
They're at the Graham County Fairgrounds down there. That's the biggest building that
Okay.
we've got.
They're on the south end of town.
Right.